Okay, and welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Factorio Space Age, where we're going to make an attempt to fly out Sassafras here out to the system edge. But this time we're going to try without having the engines fully on. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it down to one engine and see if we can do it on one engine. It may very well do it on one engine. So with that, out we go. Solar system edge, and then we'll tell it to come back to novice. And we're loading up from a save, so if something goes horribly wrong, we can always just revert back to the state. Initially, we do have fuel in the outer engines, so the outer engines will actually run for a little while until the fuel empties out. But at which point it should just run on the one, and it should run on the one just fine. We're technically providing 7 times more fuel to the engine than that engine needs. And that will adjust the balance up here a little bit because we'll be eating up less in the engines as well. No expectation that the thing should have any problems flying, at least out to Aquilo. Past Aquilo, it'll be a little bit of a different thing. Yeah, so we can see the exterior engines here cooling off. And then we just have the one in the middle. So the thing will go a lot slower, but we'll watch it fly out. Okay, apparently this is about the maximum zoom level that we can get. And we're just going to sit here, and this episode will be it either succeeding or failing to get to the exterior of the solar system. Isn't really much else to do. This will either, quote-unquote, win the game, because I believe hitting the solar system exit is Space Age's win condition. Or it won't, in which case I may sit down and try to build a bigger ship, better ship. Yeah. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and mute my mic, and you can enjoy the flight. In hindsight, I'm not exactly sure why the speed is fluctuating. With one engine, it should be burning at full speed consistently. Because we've got buffered fuel, so there's no real reason the one engine shouldn't be running at full speed consistently. Okay, so that's the safest of the 3 legs complete. We know from the last stream, in theory, or the last part, in theory, that this ship should carefully and safely pass through the first 2. It is going a lot slower because we've only got the one engine on board. Yeah, I'm very confused why it's slowing down of all things. The engine's not burning any slower. It's not like we're really changing in weight. At least at the screen resolution, it's like there's a scroll bar on that coming up that don't necessarily know how to scroll. Yeah, apparently this is the thrust speed for this leg, for whatever reason. It does look like at least going at this speed is making a lot less waste as far as grabbing stuff. The grabbers are able to much more adequately keep up. Yeah, definitely with the fewer engines, it's a lot slower. I wouldn't be surprised at this point we're actually on the third leg at this point by having all 7 engines running. We're apparently picking up some speed for some reason. I don't think we've got really more thrust off the back end. At least we really should. The thrust has been holding stably the entire time. So something about the thrust calculation's not constant throughout the galaxy. Or the solar system, or however you want to refer to it. Honestly, based on how quickly the grabbers up front are grabbing stuff, it might actually benefit from actually just going even slower, which is a weird concept to think about. Or more grabbers, one of the two. Okay, just about to finish up the second leg here, and then we have the third and the dangerous one, the one we failed last night. But we failed running all 7 engines, so it might have just been that we were too fast for the rail cannons up front to keep up. So apparently entering into the third leg has slowed us down, or going even slower now. Oh, for how long, I'm not sure. Rockets still appear to be holding steady at the slower rate, so we're not running out of rockets anytime soon. Sorry about that. There was a phone call, so I muted the mic while the phone call was ringing the phone. And then I moved the camera up a little bit, because we're going to start being interesting. We're going to start running into the things where we're going to actually need to use the rail cannons here. So basically to see the rail cannons fire a little bit, we want to be a little bit zoomed up on the ship. Don't get to see as much of the interesting interior of the ship here, but should at least be able to see them fire the cannons. Still only bigs this far out. Oh, soon. Soon we should start seeing the huge ones, which use the rail cannons to deal with. Oh, there's the first one. Not in the firing arc yet, but it will be soon. And at this speed, at least, it's making a good deal of work on these huge ones. There's another huge one coming in. It's in the firing arc. Why is it not firing? Ah! I left a type of rock off the list. That's probably why we crashed. Oh, which means I left a type of rock off of your list. At least that one's the Promethean one that's missing. Okay, now that we got the weapons designated right, they might do a little bit better job. We are burning through a lot of ammunition as this gets plunked at flying by. Which is maybe not ideal. Doesn't look like it's going to collide with the ship, but it's uncomfortably close. No collisions. Good thing I noticed what the cause was for that. The iron ones must just be rare enough that I, having not said it, we got far last time. And now that it's set up right, problem solved. It's complaints about bullets, I think, from the asteroid going past. We eating up all the rounds on the rearward turrets. A little worried about ammunition, but mainly the armor-piercing rounds, to be fair. But because we've got a focused enough on the forward guns, as long as we've got some going past the side guns, I think we'll be fine. Side guns, in theory, as long as we're moving, aren't important. So now that I fixed the firing positions, it would be tempting to maybe speed it up, because I could just re-engage more of the engines, get going faster. But let's for the moment not risk it. Anyways, well, once we get there and we officially win, for the return trip, I can slap the engines on and see if it would survive the speed on the return trip. Density is definitely getting higher. Quarter of the way there on the third leg. Finish up the physical railgun. Go ahead and queue another on it. Getting a little bit worried, glancing at the rocket rounds that might be starting to run low on rockets. We're only about a third of the way there. So in potential preparation for needing to bring the rail guns to bear on the big ones, in case we run out of rockets, we'll prep that settings list. Okay, I think that is apparently now. Yeah. We're gonna go through a lot more rail cannon ammunition that way, but that's what it takes to keep the ship flying. That's what it takes to keep the ship flying. Oh, I see him. We're running at half production of explosives. That should fix that problem. At least double the rockets flying out the front end. Well, 42% of the way there. At least with the reduced target specialization on the rail cannons, we're not necessarily immediately suffering from depleting that ammunition too quickly. One cannon running out of ammunition. Okay. So, good thing I realized that was the case. Apparently, we're definitely not going through the rail cannon and ammo for very fast because it's still still stable with no production. Yes. We'll just get back to quietly watching the thing fly through space. And nothing's moving? Why is nothing moving? Because we're reliant on the trash to throw the trash arms to throw things out for clear. Okay. We got blue ones, so we can make this work a little faster. Use a little bit more motion. Why do I have those assigned to red? That should be, the exact same, except... Alright, yeah, don't immediately drop the product of that into the trash. That'll work better. There we go, that'll get some more coal going, which will hopefully get the rockets stable faster. The rocket turret temporarily running out of ammo. We do have some... Well, we now have more rocket production, so that should be less of an issue. We've got the trash working a little bit better. So that should help with the flow over there. Do I have underground belts? Yeah, I got underground belts. Again, that should help with the trash disposal working a little bit better to keep the belts functioning, so these can get the variety that they need. Doubly so as we start to collect more and more and more rocks. Could probably toss speed modules in those. Yeah, let's toss speed modules in those. How's the power looking? We got 85 cells of power, so we probably got enough power. Okay, a bunch of cannons down the far right side of running ammo. We had one that was coming in at an angle and caught enough of the back guns that we won't be able to have ammo shooting it. Not too much of a problem. Rocket state's looking a little healthier now that we've sorted some problems with the rockets. And the railgun isn't necessarily having a problem being firing at those rate. Guess we have one of the larger asteroids on a near collision horse. Yeah, that one might actually hit. Needless to say, you're not supposed to take these out with the regular guns. As you can see that we're barely doing any damage. I think we do like... No, we're not even doing 1 damage a second, apparently. Surprised it has any damage on it, to be fair. If we're doing no damage with those guns. $75 of the way there. 80% of the way there. Getting a little tempted to try to turn the engine speed up to get to go a little bit faster. At the same time, I would also like it to get there. And things are working right now. Things are working. Oh, maybe it was lasers that was the damage on it. Okay. The lasers don't cease being completely effective, they're just massive power hogs. The biggest stuff has 99% damage reduction to the lasers. If anything, I think we're not using the rockets fast enough anymore, so let's scale back the rail cannon work. Serve a little bit of rail cannon ammo. There's 90%. %. One thing I will do is right now we have it set to immediately just turn around and come back. I turn that off so we sit there for a second, give me a moment to pause. Because when we get there, effectively we'll win, but I'm going to put a break in the video. Where I've got to go do stuff IRL. But we'll also do the flight back. And we'll try to do the flight back at full speed, so I'll crank the engines back on. And we'll get this thing flying full speed. To see if it was just mistakes. For example, we had issues where we weren't feeding any steel into the railgun ammo maker. We were using half the explosives. Didn't have this quite working right. We've upgraded the trash processing, so it may actually be able to fly at full speed if, you know, the design was correct. And so shortly we'll get to solar system edge. 4,000 kilometers left to go, and no indications that the ship is having problems, at least at minimum speed. 1 of 7 engines running. Again, I'll put a break in the recording. It'll be a jump cut for you, but it'll be a break for me where I'll have to merge the 2 videos. But they will do the flight back on maximum speed. %. 99%, I don't see anything we're going to collide for the next 500 kilometers, so I believe we've done it. Got it into the solar system edge. And there we go. So that is technically victory in space age. We're gonna see if this thing can fly back at speed. I'm gonna go ahead and hit continue here. No. Okay. And we're gonna go ahead and put a part break in here. So hope you've been enjoying. This isn't going to be where the video ends. I'm going to do the flight back, but I need to do that in a different recording section. So I'll go ahead and pen that on, so there'll be a little bit of jump cut here. So hope you enjoy the future part. Bye for now. And welcome back. Forget where we left off last time in Factorio, in what is likely to be the beginning of the last video. We're gonna make some simple modifications to the plane, or the ship here, and that is going to be just to hook it back up, hook the engines back up. So that we can take it full speed back to Novice. See if it can actually go full speed. Flying it out to the solar system edge, which got us the technical victory, which is kind of where we're going to end. But we're gonna do one last flight, which see if we can get the ship back to Novice, going full engine speed. And then I'll do some sort of recap on how the run's been. Flying out here, we were running such that we only had one engine out and connected. That let us go a lot slower, which allowed us to more easily detect if something was wrong. This may be a good way to think about it. And things were wrong, but because we were flying slow enough, I was able to make the changes quickly enough that the ship did not suffer catastrophic failure. But yeah. So now we're just going to see if the ship can make it back at full speed. Which would basically be roughly the difficulty spike in the opposite direction from what we were doing on the way in. So it should get easier as it's going. But maybe there's a question of whether or not we had enough endurance to get there and back without slowing down. Because initially on the flight out, because 2 parts ago we failed going outward. I chalked that up initially to maybe we're going too fast. In hindsight, one of the problems was I'd only queued up 3 of the target priorities and then ignore the unlisted targets on the main railguns up front. So the railguns weren't shooting everything, and that was, you know, a problem. And the answer to, can we go fast enough, is no. So yeah, I can do a quick reload and we can go see if we can go a little bit slower. I think the other thing to change is maybe I can swap it up so the rail cannons are not excluding the medium ones. I think the rail cannons were what would have maybe saved it. Yeah, let's quickly reload. See if we can do it, go full speed, but with the rail cannons in a different setting. So we know at medium speed this should be able to handle it. Okay. Well, let's see if at full speed it can handle it. With the rail cannons set to that setting. The answer might be maybe I thought last time we did need the lower speed to go out, in which case we need it to get back in. But yeah, what ended up happening in the last one was I think we ran out of gun rounds in front of guns. Let's see how well this handles. We may still run out of guns. Well, we also ran out of rockets, right? So we ran out of rockets, and then we didn't have the firepower to deal with the medium ones, I think. If for no other reason than the gun turrets we have up here are actually not told to ignore the medium ones. So if we get too many medium ones in, they'll waste themselves up. We lost one of the rail cannons. I'm thinking we do not have the rate of fire to go full speed, which is believable. We only lost one of the rail cannons. And it was one of the edge ones, so that's actually one of the ones that we kind of expect to lose. Let's change destinations. We'll actually go sit at Aquello instead of going straight back to Novice. Because if we do make it back to Aquello, then it'll replace the rail cannons while we're sitting there. Okay, we run out of rounds in the first run of guns. Go ahead and pause the thrust for a moment. Just that little bit more ammo efficiency is what I'm trying to pull. Okay, give us full thrust again. I don't think this is going to make it, honestly. I think the ship can't handle the speed. We can't handle the speed the engine put out in firepower standpoint. We had gun turrets to replace guns at the front. We're out of gun turrets. Okay. Once a gun turret on the front end breaks, it's broken. Another hit. Well, so one thing I can do to try to fix guns in the back end is pull up some of the rear ones. They're not doing much back there. Practice. No, the ones up front aren't doing a lot because we're out of ammo. We're out of ammo. Up party left. Up party right. Grab some more ammo, or grab some more gun turrets to replace the missing ones up front. Move them to the front. Okay. We don't have the bullets in the magazine proverbially. We don't got the capacity to get those gun turrets to actually do anything. Yeah, we lost all the grabbers up front at this point. Oh, that's another thing I just pull off the back end, I suppose. Get some more grabbing. But yeah, I don't think this ship is going to make it. I think something's going to go wrong, and we're going to crash and burn again. Okay, we need the rail cannons. Go ahead and pause for the rest for a moment. The emergency solution here is stop ignoring old targets. Fire at will. Still intact, fire. But yeah, looks like full speed. This thing does not have the firepower. And apparently it's actually the supporting firepower. I got enough railgun rounds, so we could potentially try doing a restart, seeing if we just let the railguns free fire if they're gonna do what they need to do. Yep, the big one hit. And it's just took out the cyclability, so yep, the ship's crippled. It's only a matter of time. Got one rail cannon running forward to firepower. Yep. And there goes the other rail cannon. At this point, the engines will push the vehicle to its untimely demise. There's the big rock that's going to take it out right down the middle. Yeah, we could readjust it and maybe set the railguns on full free fire, but it is not going to work. Okay, so with that, let's just we'll load the game from the last save, and we'll do the outro. So the answer to and back is, well, not under full speed. It's not coming back under full speed. So we've developed. So we started in space with this platform, which it wasn't shaped like this when we started, which was just a simple make A, make B, make C, and make some space science. And we evolved that because we wanted to make more space science, and it mostly works. This makes solar space science, and we also upgraded at some point to make calcite specifically for doing foundry work on Novice. Then we hit the Bob Fizzle. This isn't the how to describe it. This is not the Bob Fizzle's technical design, original design. Let's pull up the blueprint. We can actually set it back to its normal flying brick shape. Splitter in the way. So that's what it's supposed to be shaped like. It isn't shaped like that for reasons. It had an ammunition issue and the front end got torn off, basically. But this is the Bob Fizzle. This is what this is the evolution of what we were mainly flying around in. And honestly, once the ammo gets filled up enough... Why is the ammo not working? Because we're missing that insert, okay. Can I borrow borrow a splitter somewhere to make... Well, actually, the Fulgura. Fulgura should have launch capacity for splitters, so we should have one coming up eventually. Well, if we actually got splitters with Fulgura. We're not going to continue from the same, we're just going over it. So this is the Bob Fizzle. This is the main freighter that we were moving around on. Then we built the... At some point we decided we wanted a freighter that was not the one we were moving around, mainly meant for cargo, so we got this one, which has got tons and tons of cargo bay, so we can carry lots of stuff. This is effectively was our freighter that we had automated doing stuff. Right up until I think we had it really rocking and moving due to fixing Gleba, it was handling reasonably well. It was having ammunition problems near the end, where apparently we were having it move enough that it was depleting its ammunition. At some point we built the space platform for making copper, iron, and steel. I don't think we actually really used it enough, but we made this platform. This is a platform that relies purely on solar power and laser turrets to go places, and it's terrible. Don't do this. It might work for going out to Vulcanus, actually, because Vulcanus, as you go close to Vulcanus, you get more solar power. But for going out to, like, Fulgura, it's terrible. So I can imagine something like this maybe for Vulcanus or Gleba, where you're going to use the solar power and the ability to space asteroids. Though, you wouldn't need it for Vulcanus, because you get all the space resources basically on Vulcanus. The only place I'd really see is maybe it's Gleba practice. We sent it out to Fulgura, but it'd probably be better at Gleba. And in fact, this is something that we could really easily move, because it's got the one engine. Well, let's say one. It's got the two engines on the back here. We could say move this over to Gleba, and it'd probably do better in Gleba. And then we built this ship for, well, winning the game. We literally basically just built it for winning the game. It's basically a modification on the Bob Fizzle, meant to have a double fission plant on the back for power, and then basically a very similar front end to the Bob Fizzle, but with a set of rail cannons out front. And that's why you can't sit out here. That's about to break a critical component of the ship. And it's showing off one of the reasons why you may want to go laser turrets, which is the laser turrets do work. Even against the biggest things. So yeah, that was the freighter that went to the end of the system and won the game. On Novice, we were doing a railroad Novice, and honestly, I probably played too much on Novice, treating it like it was the base game. So we got the really big bus that basically built bus A to go to space, and then realized, you know, really I should do something with bots, because it was getting more and more tedious to expand, and we were in space, but really I needed to scale up. So we had the bots just rebuild. We were basically in the process of rebuilding the bus, bigger and better and bodier, with passive providers and stuff like that, so I didn't have to go find everything. And then we got to Vulcanus and realized, you know, I could really use calcite, so we had to go get the calcite research from Gleba that we can get from asteroids instead of shipping it over from Vulcanus, and set up this, and we set up a big giant thing of science, so we could do lots and lots and lots of science, and then pretty much didn't use it. Let's be fair, pretty much didn't use it. I think the physical weapon damage here. Basically do the physical weapon damage here, and it does the physical weapon damage here. It took way too long to set up, so we never really cranked the physical weapon damage. We're going just now into 10. But that was basically what this was built for. And this is a big, massive complex that, in theory, provides a half a belt of each of the 6 basic science. And as a side effect, is massive. And if we just waited to go to Vulcanus, this is from, like, it went from here to here, and that got compressed into this, all these little things, right? So if you imagine if we actually finally did the whole swap back over to furnaces, it would just shrink and shrink and shrink. So that was maybe a mistake, right? Maybe overbuilt this. In hindsight, I probably should have gone for a bit more of a minimalist science run out to the solar system edge. Which maybe if we ever did Space Age again, we'd end up trying doing that again. So that was Navas. Vulcanus, if anything, I probably should have built more on Vulcanus, let's be fair. We landed on the Vulcanus. Well, actually, technically, first we went to Fulgura. After we finished on Novice, we went to Fulgura. And, Fulgura wasn't that bad. It took a little while to figure out how to get started. I didn't realize, the places where they got the, like, 100, the 10 million scrap piles, the big, very small scrap piles, big in density, smalls, and coverage, have a thing you have to go harvest off of. So in my unlucky state, I think we spawned on this island, and I went north. Whereas the thing I needed to find to actually do anything in Volcara was due south. I went the wrong way. Went the wrong way. Started walking around. Was still going the wrong way. Eventually, like, I think I had to go look up what I needed to go find, and we found one. And then we got started. So, did Fulgura pretty much blind. And without shipping anything in. So we basically developed the first launch system here, sort of crudely. And this is actually most of it here. We didn't bother to tear any of it up for launch capacity. And that worked. We got off of Fulgura. We'd later come back and upgrade it with the big split sorter, which is backed up. Yeah, backed up, because you're backed up, because you're backed up, because you're... Apparently I never counted for running out of plastic storage. Whoops. Good thing we're done, because that's broken the sorter. The sorter is broken. Whoops-a-daisy. Or I need to find more use for red circuits. We're never surprised, a bit surprised that we actually ran out of, or overused the red circuits. Yeah. Then once we got that, the next stop was Vulcanus. I wanted to get foundries, so we could upgrade Novice with foundries. I didn't realize at the time, because this was minimally spoiling. I didn't realize that Vulcanus unlocks the foundries, but doesn't unlock the ability to make calcite in space. So I could have technically done everything I did on Novice by shipping calcite from Vulcanus, but I didn't plan on doing that because launch capacity is expensive until it isn't. And arguably, we never really made it cheap enough to my liking. We had a little bit of problem on Vulcanus figuring out how to kill the small worms. I don't think we killed anything bigger than a small worm. And that's just the Zephyrfast here getting torn to bits because it's sitting stationary. And it can only, as you can see, the huge asteroids it can only deal with from the front, because the rail cannon's the only ways to deal with it. So, yeah, if we're going to continue this, we're going to have to basically fly this home. Which we could do. I technically load the thing and tell it to go home. It should be safe enough at minimum speed. It just doesn't have the firepower to go full speed. So Vulcanus... it took a little while to figure out how to deal with the small worms. And I think the answer we worked out is with the bullet tech we had at the time. If you made like a 10 by 10 box of turrets and put like 10 rounds in each of them, and then pulled the worm into it. Yeah, you'd lose a few turrets, but it would take the worm out. Right, and that's how we cleared out this sort of space, which gave us access to tungsten ore, which apparently I never really needed very much of. Like, okay, actually, I think I'm on the richest of the sites that we have. It's just a small site, physically small site. So yeah, we ran tungsten. We got this going. Later on, much farther in the run, I decided I was going to build up the capacity to do much heavier stuff on. Oh, and I never even finished building this. Whoops. We didn't need the lava anyway. I never put enough demand in the system to need that much lava. To build much heavier in Vulcanus, and then I sort of got Project Interruptus and was like, I think we got everything we need to finish, so let's just call it good. So this was enough to sort of do launching from Vulcanus. I was thinking trying to build Sassafras over there. but then ran into basically the problem that the Sassafras is having out here at the Solar System edge, which is if you don't have adequate defense turrets on a particular face, and a newly built ship doesn't usually, the asteroids will tear the ship a bit over time. Just sitting there will tear it a bit. And Vulcanus was, as a side effect, Vulcanus, unlike Novice, does not have a safe orbit. There are random rocks that will crash into things up there. They're not very big, and they're very easy to deal with, so if you've got like a small ship and you want to upgrade a small ship, sure, you can do that in Vulcanus. But trying to build a ship from scratch was a bit of a pain there. After Vulcanus, and I'm kind of doing some of the stuff out of order, talking about it, because I'm talking planet by planet, in order of going planet. But after Vulcanus, went to Gleba, specifically because I realized, oh, I need the calcite to rebuild the stuff on Novice. So we got to calcite on Gleba, went back to Novice, started building up foundries and stuff like that, the landing facility capacity, and then realized we really weren't getting enough asteroids on the stationary platform. So whoops there, to really do what I want. So eventually I just sort of gave up. We did enough Gleban science. And at that point, once we were done with Gleba for the first time we were done with Gleba, we basically did a round on all the planets to upgrade the throughput of everything. Got Gleban science along far enough that we could do a Quello. Got a Quello going that we could... And that was a little bit tedious because I almost stranded myself on a Quello because we don't have the ability to have copper iron. I wanted to kind of do like Fulgur, where like, oh, drop on the planet and I don't use foreign resources. Except you can't do that on Quello. You have to ship stuff in to get started because it's got no iron, it's got no copper. You have ammonia, which can do some of the stuff you do with petrochemicals, and then you've got crude oil, which you can do with petrochemicals. And that's basically it besides the Quello only resources. Which, for the sort of minimum science run we were doing, the Quello only sciences, or Quello only resources were plenty and excessive, and that worked. And then we started on the ship to leave the solar system, which, apparently I over-designed the engine train, because the engine train here is plenty to get the ship into trouble. We made it out to the solar system edge by running one of the ship's 7 engines. As we just tested at the beginning well, I'm actually going to pin this onto the last video. Tested in this video just recently, if we run all 7 engines, the ship doesn't have enough firepower. Well, I think it's actually ammo replacement. It doesn't have enough ammo replacement to safely fly this far out to the solar system. Which is kind of a shame, but that's realistic. I think that's realistic. That's not too much of a problem. And yeah, so with that, at least for this run of Factorio, I could technically drag this back, and I may at some point on my own time drag this back and try to upgrade the design so it can go faster and farther. And I'm not doing that on stream, not doing that in recording. If I do that, I might upload a recording going over what I changed on the ship. But yeah, I think this is the end of the Factorio run. In Space Age. This was... Okay, I spoiled it a little bit by going to the wiki, but this is basically a blind run of Factorio in Space Age. Basically, I haven't watched anyone do any of the stuff past Novice. So, if you've watched this far in, I hope you've been enjoying. And if you've jumped the last episode and skipped over it, I don't blame you. Factorio can be a bit dry at times. But yeah, so this is the end. I hope you've all been enjoying if you're watching. And until next time, wish you all the best of luck and a good time. And I hope you enjoy whatever else comes on in streams or in runs. And with that,